Hey folks, this is another video in a series that aspires to teach Google Apps Script's Gmail app to beginners. In previous lessons, we've learned how to send emails, with attachments, how to send HTML emails, how to develop an HTML signature, how to send emails on BCC and CC, as well as how to add attachments to BCC and CC. We're going to resume by navigating to the Files menu, where we will be creating a new script file. You can call this file whatever you want to. I am going to use the prefix of G underscore. This is an organizational method that I employ. And then I am going to call this read underscore subjects and hit enter. This lesson is going to focus on how to read or scan all of the emails that are in your inbox. So we are going to use Gmail app to get our inbox threads, and then we are going to loop through the inbox in order to get the subject line and the message ID. This is going to be a base that we are going to use in subsequent lessons in order to organize the inbox. So I'm going to clear out my boilerplate function here. I'm going to begin by creating a function, and I'm going to call this read capital S subject. This function is merely for compiling code. So we are going to open up a set of parentheses, but we are not going to have any arguments. So we're going to leave it blank. We're going to hit the right arrow on our keyboard. We're going to hit space, and we're going to open up a set of curly brackets. I'm going to hit enter twice, add 2 slashes for a comment. The first thing that we're going to do is access the Gmail library. So we're going to hit enter and tab. We're going to declare a variable so that we can reuse our access to Gmail app. So you can call this variable whatever you want to. I'm going to call it inbox. I'm going to have it set equal to capital G, Gmail app, capital A, app, dot get capital I, inbox, capital T, threads. Google Apps Script is case sensitive, so you need to make sure that all of the capitalization is correct. We're going to have an open parentheses here. We don't need to enter any arguments, so we're going to leave it blank. We're going to hit the right arrow on our keyboard. We're going to add a semicolon. We're going to hit enter twice, and then we're going to add 2 slashes for a comment. I'm going to say logging for transparency. We're going to hit enter and tab, and we are going to use capital L logger dot lowercase l log, open parentheses. And we are going to use logger.log to see what the output is of calling Gmail app.get inbox thread. So we are going to pass the variable name that we used on line 4. In my case, I used inbox. You can see I incorrectly wrote index. So let me change that real quick. Cool. So I wrote inbox. Now the reason that I noticed that error is if you pay attention to your variable name, inbox is currently referenced. So you see we have this box that indicates that this variable is being used somewhere else in the script. Additionally, you can see that when a variable is not in use, it will be grayed out similar to a comment message. So when I typed in index and I saw that this was grayed out, that was an immediate visual indication that I was not correctly scripting my code. So then once I change it from index to inbox, you can see that this now becomes more present and has a darker black hue that indicates that it's being used somewhere else. And then if you start to highlight it, you'll notice that anywhere that that word exists will become highlighted. Because this is not the same case, you can see that it is a lighter blue, whereas these two blues are darker to indicate that they are directly related to one another. Cool. So I'm going to save my script at this time. If you have not used Gmail app yet in your library, when you hit run, it is going to ask you to provide permissions. If you're working from a single lesson plan like I am with these previous lessons here, then you have already provided access. So if you have not provided access, pause the video and just kind of say like, yes, I'm into it. I allow access. You can use my credentials. You can read my email. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And you can see that when you call get inbox threads, you are provided with an array of results. So you can see that we are getting Gmail thread, Gmail thread, Gmail thread, and so on. So you're not going to be able to say Gmail app.get inbox threads and then get like a list of like what your actual emails are. You're getting those objects. So what's happening is get inbox threads and Gmail app have other functions and methods that are available to you in order to interact with your inbox threads. In order to open up the possibility of using those options, we're going to have to loop through each one of these thread objects in order to access things like the subject line or like subsequent messages, first message, ID, all that type of stuff. So just so that you can kind of see it a little bit further, a good way to see what other actions are available to you is by using a dot method. So when we called Gmail app and we hit dot, we were provided with a whole host of actions that were available to us. When we try to use inbox, which is effectively an extension of Gmail app.get inbox threads, right? Like it's a more compact way to reference that code. We're limited with a more generic set of actions that show us that we can't interact with the output in the way that we potentially would like to. So one way that we can go about doing that is by using a for loop. So we're going to hit enter on a keyboard twice. We're going to hit shift tab in order to align our cursor. So you can see that is now aligned with this comment. I want it to be aligned with this comment here. So I'm going to do shift tab again. And now you can see that this is on a similar indentation level, which is really helpful for readability. I'm going to add 2 slashes for a comment, hit space. And now we are going to iterate through the inbox threads. And we're going to do that by using a for loop. So I hit enter, I'm going to hit tab, I'm going to type for, open up a parentheses, and then I'm going to use a variable. You can use any variable that you want to. Typically people use I for iteration. So we're to say I for I in, and then we're going to reference our variable name on line 4, which for me is inbox. We're saying for I in inbox, and this is in a parenthetical. You're going to hit the right arrow on our keyboard, hit space, and we're going to open up a set of curly brackets. We're going to hit enter once, and we are going to add 2 slashes for a comment, and we are going to access the subject line. We're going to hit enter and tab. We're going to declare a variable. You can call this whatever you want to. I'm going to call mine subject, capital L, line. Now the reason I'm calling it subject line is because there might be another thing called subject, and I don't want to have any type of conflict in my code where I'm referencing something that already does something else. So using subject line doesn't bring up any autocorrect or anything, so it's a good indication that it's an open word that can be used as a variable. I'm going to hit space. I'm going to set it equal to. We're going to reference our inbox variable, right? So that's here and that's here. We use square brackets, and then we are going to use our iterable, right? Whatever our iterable variable is here, for me it's I. So I'm going to say inbox square bracket I, and then I am going to use the dot. And now you can see that we have more actions that are specific to Gmail apps. So we have add label, create draft reply, create draft reply all, get first message subject. Get first message subject is what we want. Now, if you are curious about email generally, specifically Gmail app, feel free to pause the video and kind of scroll through this list and see all the things that you can do. I'm not going to touch on everything in this video series, but there might be things that you want to do that you could explore on your own. And of course, feel free to reach out in the comments section and say, hey, I want to learn how to do this thing. And I'm always happy to look into it. Feel free to email me, and happy to develop text lesson plans for my website. So just, check it out. A lot of this type of stuff is exploring and seeing what's possible. So for my purposes, I want to see the subject lines of my inbox so that I can start identifying some emails that I want to do something with. So I'm going to select Get First Message Subject, and I'm going to open up a set of parentheses. So what happens here is we are going to get the email thread, right? So we're just going to get the first message from the email thread. Now, you'll notice that up here, Get Inbox Threads gives you the ability to select different emails in the chain. So if you have, like a 50 email chain and you want to do something to email number 37, you're going to have to access that email directly from the Get Inbox Threads portion. Down here, we are just getting like the very first message that was sent, the subject line. Now, I find this helpful because I think about things in terms of subject lines. And I don't do a ton of email work. A lot of my stuff is just like automating a message to someone else. But in this case, I'm trying to find all the messages in my email box. And the way that I would do that with my eyes is literally going to my inbox and just kind of scanning the list or searching for a subject. So that's what we're mimicking in this script here. So I'm going to add a semicolon. I'm going to hit enter twice. I'm going to add 2 slashes for a comment. And now we're going to do some logging so that we can see what our output is to make sure it's working correctly. So we're going to use capital L logger.log again, and we are going to pass in whatever our variable on line 12 is. For me, that's subject line. We're going to add a semicolon. We're going to hit save, and then we're going to run. Now, when we run it, we're going to get this execution log here, which you can now see is individually populating all of the subject lines from my inbox. So when we scroll all the way up here, you can see that it starts as Gmail thread, all of these objects here. And now once we loop through it, we are individually pulling out all of these emails here. So you can see the first thing is this has attachments, this is an email test. So I'm going to go to my inbox, open up everything else, and you can say this has attachments, this is an email test. So this is a really good indication that I have successfully gone through and extracted my emails. So one last thing that I want you to be aware of is that, like, yes, you can use the subject line. And I think that's stable for email because emails, correct me if I'm wrong, do not have an edit function. So you're not going to get an email from somebody that has a subject line on Monday of, hey, this is the subject line. And then on Wednesday, they're not going to edit it and be like, subject line, this is. So you're going to be able to use the subject line in order to search and filter and go through all your email messages. But another thing that you can do is access the email ID. So we're going to hit enter twice. We're going to hit shift tab to align our indentation. We're now on the logging indentation. We're going to do shift tab one more time to align the indentation with the subject line, which is exactly where we want to be. We're going to do 2 slashes for a comment, and now we are going to pull out the message ID. We're going to hit enter and tab, and we're going to declare a variable of message, capital ID, and we're going to set that equal to, and this is basically the same structure as what we did. We're going to reference whatever our variable name is that we are looping through. In my case, it's inbox. I'm going to use square brackets. Then we're going to reference our iterable variable, which in my case is I. And then we are going to hit the right arrow on a keyboard, do dot get capital ID, open up an empty parentheses, add a semicolon, hit enter once, enter twice, 2 slashes for a comment, and now we are going to add some logging. We're going to hit enter and tab. We're going to use capital L logger.log, open up the parentheses, and then we're going to reference whatever our variable is on line 18, which in my case is message ID. So now when we run our script, we are going to get our subject line followed by the email identification number. So let's scroll all the way to the top and we'll see this has attachments, and then we have an identification number of 195E 83FDE, blah, blah, blah. So this is another way that we can reference our emails is by using the identification number. So you can go, so if you're looking for one specific email, you might want to use the ID. For example, in my next lesson, I'm going to explore how to filter emails, so like how to search for an email. And there are several emails that I have that have the same subject line. So you can see this is an HTML email here. This is an HTML email. All of these emails I might want to bulk delete, right? This is how to send an email. So I might want to generically reference any email that has the subject line of this is how to send an email. Whereas if I tried to use their identification numbers, then I'd have to create an array or a list of IDs that I wanted to do things to. And, it just makes it more complicated to do. But with that in mind, I wanted to give you a couple different options, especially because generally speaking, in most circumstances, the message ID, the content ID, the universal ID, whatever, the identification number is the optimal way to manage things when you're scripting and when you're using AppScript. And that's because the identification numbers are not going to change unless they no longer exist. So you either have an ID or you do not. Whereas text-based things like names change. For example, my name is Matt Brigidi. That's what I go by. My legal name is Matthew Brigidi. You could have all caps Matthew Brigidi. You could have camel case where the first letter in each name is capitalized. You could have lowercase Matt. You could have uppercase B. You can have all these variations of how things change based upon the way that the thing is referenced by name in whatever the system is that you're using. If you have an identification number of 123, it will always be 123 until it no longer exists. I hope you found this helpful. There's a little bit more, philosophical stuff in this that I hope you found helpful. If you'd like to catch up on the series or if you'd like to continue following along, the link to the playlist is in the description. It's also available